What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am always your host, Edwin. Where do all fights start?
Round one.
That's right, baby. Let's get it popping. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the greatest fights coming up right now in 2025. We have a lot of amazing fights. So lock in, tune in, subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't already, hit that like button for me, and let's get right into this episode. So what's up, fight fans, man? How y'all doing out there tonight? Let me know where you're watching from. Drop your city, represent your city. And before we get into this, let's get this party started right. Get a little motherfucking shot going. Okay. Well, there's a lot of shit going on in the boxing world right now. There's a lot of things that Turki Al-Sheikh is doing behind the scenes. There's a lot of there's a lot of fans that are on the side of what Turki's doing. There's a lot of fans that are not so much on the side of what he's doing. But I gotta admit, what he's doing for the sport, he's actually keeping it alive. And I like that. I like that the fact that he's attracting more young fighters to come to the sport of boxing, because there's a future in boxing. And what I mean by that is, like, before I get into the Naoya Inoue, because I love talking about my man, right? But before I get into that, I wanna share some things with you with TKO boxing and some of the announcements that Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh has made, and where this TKO thing is going. What trajectory is it going into? So it's been reported that Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh put out some type of information of where we think that this TKO thing is, more or less, because one of the things in boxing that was said about this whole TKO situation was Dana White doesn't pay his fighters from the UFC, right? Okay. So Turki releases this kind of standard of what kind of money the fighters can make if they were to take the TKO side. Now, reportedly, what I saw today was that if you fight a 10-round fight for the TKO organization, you're going to get $20,000, right? If you fight like a ranked opponent, you're going to get $80,000. So meaning, in the TKO ranking system structure, if you're like in the top 5, you're going to be making $80,000 for fighting anyone in the top 5 in their I would say league, TKO league. I'm not going to call it a separate outside, source of boxing, because it is boxing. So I guess the word league can be used in this TKO thing. What's up, Frontline? How you doing, baby? Right? So they're saying you're making $80,000 when coming up the ladder. When fighting somebody in the top 3, you're making $125,000. Well, the top 5. I'm sorry. Did I say the top 3? It was the top 5. When you get to the top 5, you'll be making $125,000 per fight, according to what Dana White and Turki released. This is what they're saying. So they're saying that you'll make 175. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. You make 125,000 for fighting anybody in the top 5. You make 375,000 when challenging for a world title fight in their organization, right? For winning the belt and defending the belt, you'll make $750,000 for defending their belt's organization in TKO. Now, this is what was put out. These are the numbers from Turkey Al-Sheikh and Dana. This is the format of how, I'm pretty sure everything is not ironed out for the TKO league. And the vision, though, what they're saying, I can relate to. And I'm saying to myself, okay, doesn't sound like much, right? Doesn't sound like 750,000 defending their belt, winning their belt, 375,000 for challenging the champion. Doesn't really sound like all that much money. But I just want you to think about this. Brian Norman Jr., for winning the title fight, wasn't paid $375,000. Jaron Boots Ennis, just before he was winning the titles, he was making upwards of $250,000, $300,000. So when you look at, not all fighters are making this kind of money. Not all fighters are making Saul Canelo Alvarez money, Tank Davis, Naoya Inoue money. No, they're not. There's a real small amount of fighters that were making upwards of the millions of dollars. You got the Uziks, the AJs, the Bivol now. Okay? But you really don't have that many fighters making that kind of money. As quiet as kept. Remember, Teofimo Lopez made on his last fight $600,000. Let's just keep this in mind. Now, these are established superstars. What about everybody else? What about everybody else in the sport of boxing that is not making nowhere near that kind of money? So on average, when I went back and I looked up the numbers, to tell you the truth, you would be making more money with that TKO boxing than with regular boxing. There's no guarantee that you as a champion, you're going to make anything upwards of $400,000. What they're saying here, you're making $750,000 if you win the belt and defend it. So you're going upwards of $1 million. And let's just remember that a lot of these fighters don't make the majority of their money in their purses. What they make their money on is TV networks streaming their fight and you buying it and sponsorship. Whatever city they're from, a lot of people want to associate themselves with the champion. So you get a lot of money behind the scenes for being a champion sometimes. But not all champions are created equal. There are champions that are starving in this world. World champions, unified world champions that ain't making shit for money. Believe me when I tell you. So, this proposal that TKO Boxing is announcing to the boxing world, this is a guarantee that if you can prove your worth in TKO Boxing League, you'll make your money back. And who's to say that you don't go to TKO, establish yourself as a fighter, then bounce right back to the organizations? It hasn't been official, that Turkey has ruled out doing business with the organizations in his newfound league. I have that hasn't been confirmed yet. I know he wants to do his own belt type shit, right? But honestly, I think that's the wrong approach. There have been many belts try to like maneuver their way into boxing. They've all failed. How many of you guys out there right now, let me know in the comments, please be honest too. How many of you out there knew that the PBC had a belt? Be honest. How many of you knew, that NBA belt, that alphabet belt that never jumped off and was never nothing? That's the PBC's belt. A lot of belts the IBO is trying to get in. They finally let the WBO in. And the reason for this is I talked about it earlier in my live stream in the morning. I told you guys, even today, with the way it is today, I got to be honest. Even with the 4 major sanctioning bodies and the 4 freaking interims and whatever other belts they make up, it's about 10 belts in one weight division. And I got to be honest with you guys, it's not enough belts. Not for 50, 60,000 fighters. 10 guys? 10 guys for 2,000 guys in any weight division. Sometimes there's 2,000 and over, 2,000 and under. Sometimes in some weight divisions, it's not even 2,000 guys. But in other weight divisions, there's 2,400, 2,300 guys. So on average, it's 2,000 guys in a weight division. How are you going to make that a one belt era? It's not going to work. You're going to destroy boxing. Please hear me, Turkey. That the system that the UFC has, the only way you're able to pull that off, you don't got 50,000 fighters. You got to accommodate. You got one champion in a division with maybe 50 ranked fighters. Maybe. I'm stretching it here for the UFC. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know no division in UFC that I can name 50 fighters in. And I'm well versed in the UFC. Well versed. All right? Listen, I don't just cover boxing. I used to rock with the UFC heavy. And then I saw that the UFC, all they're doing is copy, paste, and print. All you see in the UFC is their top fighters over and over, and it's just a meat grinder of a sport. Alex Pereira was this era right here in this moment. They was wearing that man down. They had John Jones the same way. And if you're not familiar with some of the fighters that I said for the UFC, okay. But what I'm saying to you is this. In boxing, there are way too many fighters for we to go back on a one belt champion era. Which means, you mean to tell me if the champion gets hurt or Saul only wants to fight once a year, how many times would the champion in each division have to fight in order to maintain that belt? Boxing is a little more complicated than your UFC structure. Although they want to feed it to you like it's the same entity. Fighting is fighting. No, it's not. If you didn't know this, if you did not know this, and from the outside looking in, you may think UFC is more dangerous of a sport. How can that be possible? when I can grab you and wrestle you down and take no punches to the face or body for 5 minutes. All I got to do is hold you down. In boxing, for 36 minutes, you're taking punches to the head and body, meaning the likelihood of your boxing career would far over exceed the risk in UFC of taking knees and elbows. They sound or look more dangerous. But trust me when I tell you that you taking punches to the face for 12 rounds for 36 minutes, far more dangerous than any UFC elbow or knee kick fight you will ever see. And although some of those fights may look gruesome, I can point you out a couple boxing matches that are the same. I want to ask you guys one question. From the day that Dana White established the UFC, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, but just to prove how dangerous boxing is over UFC, I want to ask you, in the history of the UFC, has anybody ever died in the ring? I'll wait. I'm right here, Round One Sports Talk. It's a touching topic, but it's the truth. It is the truth. Many men have died and given their life to the sport of boxing for the one thing they love to do: fight. I've never heard any fighter in the UFC ever losing their life yet. But yet, it's far more dangerous to the untrained eye. Boxing is 10 times more dangerous than the UFC. Take my word for it. I'm trying to tell you. It sounds like Ball and Fulton is next. Al Heyman tried at first but failed with that PBC, but Turkey is taking a different approach. Yup. What's good, Warlock? How you doing, baby? Salute to everyone. They got lucky for not. Juan, what are you talking about? Oh, that's not Juan. I gotta tell you right now, right? I thought you was my man Juan real quick. Let me tell you something right now, right? It is not. It is not. The UFC is no, man, listen. It's not more dangerous than boxing, bro. It's just not. But back to what Turkey's trying to do, I can respect it. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. A lot of these boxers die broke. They don't die broke because of lavish spending sometimes. They die broke because they never got their opportunity. One or two losses can really catapult, back up your career, or one or two good victories can catapult your career in a better trajectory. And Ryan Garcia was on a podcast, right? And he was talking about that the Devin Haney fight rematch was already signed. So going into this Rolly fight with Devin and Ryan, their alleged rematch fight is already signed. In which here goes Turkey Al-Sheikh on his bullshit, doing stuff that it doesn't seem like he's learned from his mistakes. Turkey. Yo, how many times have we seen Turkey Al-Sheikh announce fights and they were already signed that didn't take place? Deontay Wilder, AJ. Deontay Wilder, AJ fight was signed before Deontay Wilder went in the fight versus Chang and Parker. Both times. What happened? What happened? He lost the fucking fight. Here goes Turkey doing his shit again about signing Ryan and Devin when the fights ain't even done. And I've only named one or two situations with Turkey, but there's been countless times he done scheduled fights and the fighter that he had plans for lost. Ex Big Baby. There's been a whole bunch of fighters. And Turkey doesn't learn from this freaking mistake. That you need to wait. If you got a fight scheduled for the future, don't announce that shit. Don't announce it. So he tried not to. Who announces it? Ryan. What if Devin loses against Ramirez? Shit. What if Ryan loses to Rolly? Y'all really counting Rolly out of this fight? Really? Y'all counting Wild Man Rolly out of the fight because he's been getting beat up by everybody. And since his career and his little title run, Rolly's was suspect at best because he lost to the old man, right? There was a lot of Rolly fights that we felt like Rolly didn't win them fights. But it seemed like Mayweather, Jim, had a big, when you fight for Mayweather, it just asks Tank Davis, you can win, right? So Rolly was under that stable at the time. Think he still is, not sure, right? I don't know how his relationship is with Floyd, but what I can speak on is that Turkey is automatically saying that Ryan's going to win this fight and saying that Devin's going to win his fight. Well, let's ask Ramirez if that's so on fight night against Devin. You see, Devin, on a lot of YouTube platforms, y'all want to argue whether Devin Haney. Yo, listen, I seen Rampage Jackson. If you're not familiar with Rampage Jackson, because I said the name, he's not a boxer. He's a UFC fighter, right? And I think he's a world champion he was a world champion in the UFC. I think he was a world champion. He got to that status, right? Rampage Jackson. When he went into the fight with John Jones, was he the champion? I can't remember that far back. I used to be a big UFC head, but I saw Rampage Jackson even diss Devin Haney. And he was like, man, fuck that dude. Blah, blah, blah. He was like, man, fuck Devin Haney. I like Ryan Garcia, such and such. And when we think about this, right? We think about the situation and everything that, what transpired with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, right? I can't help but think that a lot of the boxing community did come to the aid of Ryan Garcia. He did win a lot of fans over with the performance that he did against Devin Haney. A lot of people might criticize the performance and saying that he was on a banned substance, so forth and so forth, and that it didn't really merit him the win or the victory over Devin Haney. The decision was overturned. We all know that. Ryan Garcia was suspended. Time goes on. Here we are now. We're talking about the present. We're not living in the past. As far as Ryan Garcia, he wants to be redeemed as a fighter. He wants to clear his name. He wants to prove to the world that it wasn't no PEDs. That on that night, he legitimately beat Devin Haney. Now, I don't know any PE ever made or ever produced that will turn you into a superior fighter. If you guys find out what that PE, send it to me because I would like to start taking it. Okay? Because if there's a PE that can turn me back 20 years, I'm getting in the fucking ring. I'm going to tell you that right now. Right? And, Fuck it if I get caught or whatever. You can get famous like Ryan Garcia. Hey, it is what it is, right? But I don't think that there's a PE in the world that can actually do that. I think that there's PEs that can give you strength or cut weight or, a little bit more endurance, and you'll be able to throw the punches you normally throw in the first round to the 12th round. And I get all that. I get all of that, right? But even though it doesn't enhance your selection of punches or your power, doesn't make you stronger. If you're taking those kind of P's, you should be prosecuted and put in jail. If you're taking the type of PE that enhances your eye-to-eye coordination, bets are all off. Bets are all off. Convict that man and throw away the key. Bro, you can legitimately kill somebody on that kind of PE, bro. That shit that spits on the radar, they should no longer award you a suspension, I feel. They should just ban you from the sport. You ever use any shit like that? I've never heard of anybody getting, nobody being that stupid to take that kind of performance enhancement. That's the kind of one that the baseball players in the major league take, because the ball's coming 100 miles per hour off the bat, 112, 120, right? So eye-to-eye coordination is important for that sport like that. And they take that to off season to try to, because if you can convince the body that you can see that, then when you're off of it, you'll have the, you know what I'm saying? The like, man, I do this. You'll convince yourself you can hit them shots like that. That's a really dangerous PE. Eye-to-eye coordination typically means that guy would have never been hit with those kind of punches, bro. You would have never got hit with those kind of punches. And that's some foul shit right there, right? There's a PE for everything. If you guys are not aware of this, you can buy a PE, and I mean for everything. For everything. If you want to cut weight, you want to get stronger, you want to last longer, you want to be a little bit quicker, you want to for everything in a sport. There really is. And when Ryan Garcia tested positive for the Austrian, right? I was a little taken back, right? I was like, man, that Austrian, that's for weight cutting. And for like to weight cut but keep your muscle. That's what that does, kind of. It allows you to cut weight but keep the muscle that you built, type shit. It's kind of what it does. It doesn't make you faster. It doesn't give you eye-to-eye coordination. It doesn't make you stronger. It doesn't, none of that shit. It just preserves the muscle that you have while cutting weight. It's kind of what that shit does. And I was a little taken back because I was like, damn, Ryan, I thought you was like $1 million dude. Out of all the PEs in the world you could have got bagged for, Austrian, really? That's what you decided to do? It's like being a millionaire and accepting a welfare check. Why would you do that? Why would you do that if you were Ryan Garcia? There was just so many other things you could have took that would have worked for you a lot better. So, that was my concern, but, I'm not in the mind of Ryan Garcia or his camp or why or why didn't you. I'm on the line that, brother, you got bagged. That's it. You got caught. This is what it is. You held out your suspension. We are where we are today. That's it. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to try to say that Ryan's a good person. No. Devin Haney's a better person. No. You take it for what you want. Whatever you believe in your heart, have at it. Have at it. But we're here now. In Turkey LFC, he's putting up these fights like fucking Ryan and Devin already won. That was my whole point to this. They haven't won. Turkey, you ain't learned your lesson? You ain't learned your lesson and stop putting these fights together and announcing these fights prematurely. Listen, that Tyson fight, those two old men that you're typing here, right? I look, I got Tyson on my wall. He's right there. He's right there. Look, if you can't see his face, he's like right there. Right? That's Mike Tyson right there in between the belts, right? He's probably my greatest heavyweight champion in my era. I love Ali, of course. He's the GOAT. But for me, Mike Tyson was in my time. And he's always going to hold a special place in my heart as a fighter because what he did for me as a young man growing up, and what he represented at the time was just American dominance at the heavyweight division. He was a short guy, 5'10", fighting these giant sized men, kind of like the little engine that could. That was Mike Tyson for me. Whatever Mike wants to do, Mike, I got your back. I don't care what Mike, what this fight you're announcing, they never fought, this, that, third, whatever. I know who you're talking about. Cool. They old men. Whatever Mike does, I'm tuning in. I don't give a fuck. Whatever Mike wants to do, I'm with it. So there's your answer to that. All right? I rock with Mike 100%. And that Jake Paul bullshit, they paid him to take a dive. Right? Because Mike would have knocked that punk ass dude out. He's biting his gun because he was frustrated. They already gave him the $20 million and he already spent some of the money. So he had to do what he had to do. Jake Paul, you a sneaky motherfucker, but hey, I can't knock Jake Paul neither because at the same time, he's doing so much for the women's sport in boxing that it's kind of hard to be pissed off at Jake Paul because I got to give the ladies they credit. We got Sky Nichols right now fighting Tiara Brown. They about to rock out on that George Camboza that he's fighting on the undercard. And if anything, to keep it funky with you, I would have tuned in to watch that fight for the girls' fight. I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it 100. Not for George Camboza fighting that Australia champion type thing, because I know where they're going with this George Camboza fake ass shit. Trying to put him up against Richard Hitchison and bypass Subriel. I've been bringing that up. That was on my live stream this morning. And I'm trying to talk this up because I want the boxing world to back me on this. This is bullshit. Bullshit, bro. And I'm upset. Subriel did everything you asked of him. And after he fights these guys, you're going to say, oh, who did he fight? What you mean, who did he fight? He fought who you put in front of him. It's not up to him to be like, yo, take a fight with me. But he did what was asked of you. And all of a sudden, I see you put in a nice dress, some blush, makeup, high heels on George Camboza, and y'all dressing him up real nice. And you're going to try to feed me that that's the next guy Richard Hitchison should fight because that there's other people in the division that are deserving. Where George Camboza never fought at 140 pounds, and he ate from that division. So help me, expose some of these things in boxing. We want to see the best fighting the best. Subriel is the best. He proved it by being the number one mandatory. He's the best. So, that's what I mean. Hold on a second. Give me a second, guys. Whew. Had to let that go, man. Gonna hold on. I had a bathroom break there, real quick. So I just don't want to let this go and sweep it under the carpet. I don't see this working at all. I can be wrong, but it will be very difficult for what? For the TKO at five a 5 fight card for Turkey is 20K each. Fighters that 200K out of the pocket, not including the event. Look, my man, about Berlanga, right? Berlanga is the type of fighter right now, I believe, has a lot of potential, a lot of you know, he's I can say that he's put himself in a situation in boxing where that his name is definitely in the mix around the 168. Now, whether or not you like his business mindset or that even Top Rank let him go because they feel like he's trying to get one over on them. They felt like, Berlanga, if you think you can get more money, then go elsewhere. He did so with Ed Hearn. It seems like no matter where Berlanga goes, it seems like to be the same story where he wants a lot of money for not fighting the best fights. Okay. So every fighter has the opportunity, in my eyes, to turn things around. When you see fighters come out with on fire and then lose a couple of fights or fail what we consider short or not giving it everything you have, that we believe you should live up to that potential by now, right? Okay. What ended up happening is that there have been situations in boxing where fighters have been able to turn around their career. Dubois. I counted out Dubois after he quit against Usyk. He took, a kind of beating, in other fights. And, I didn't know that he allegedly he had a broken retina when he quit in that fight. But I saw quit in the man. I counted Dubois out as a serious heavyweight contender. Yes, I did. Once upon a time, I did not believe in Dubois anymore. And let me tell you right now, he turned shit around, didn't he? So if Dubois can do it, why can't Berlanga do it? Why can't Berlanga get more serious with the sport and show the world he means business? 17 first round knockouts. Sounds great. But are you a world champion? And are you threatening to become a world champion? Just like many people criticize this fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez and William Skull right here, right? And talking about this is a bullshit fight. They don't want to see Canelo fight this fight. I'm sitting here saying, the fuck are you guys talking about? He has the opportunity to become undisputed again for the second time at 168. And that's nothing to like bat your eyelash at. You're going to go on record for unifying 4 belts 2 times in the same weight division? How many men can say they did that? But yet, they're trying to convince you that the fighting world doesn't want that fight. I'm like, bullshit. I think all of us want that fight, and you guys are just pushing that narrative. Because if Saul unifies that and he wins that fight, he becomes undisputed. So if the Terence Crawford fight actually happens, Terence Crawford would be fighting for 4 belts, not 3. There would be more on the line. So how the hell is that not an important fight? And I think we need to be careful with everything that everybody else is putting out, because it gets tangled in the truth. And the truth is, that's the right move. That is the right move for Saul Canelo Alvarez to do. And if Terence Crawford pulls it off, don't tell no one. Don't tell no one I said this. I don't want nobody to know. But wouldn't that mean that Terence Crawford got all 4 belts in 3 separate weight divisions? Hot damn, let me tell you who I am. That would be 3. That's official. Terence Crawford would be the first man on planet Earth in the history of all of boxing to get all 4 belts in 3 separate weight divisions. How is that not the plan? Yo, Saul, go get that belt back so that when we meet up, it's for all 4 belts. They're thinking for the future. These fans are talking about, we don't want to see this out. Shut the fuck up, bro. If you don't want to see it, don't tune in. Don't tune in then. Go support Gervonta Tank Davis for fighting nobody. I'm going to tell you right now, listen. The sport of boxing is in a funny fucking place, bro. It really is. It really is. We got guys fighting for interim belts, winning 2 interim belts. David the Monster Benavidez. Does he really think if he has those 2 interim belts, he rubs them together, they make one real belt? Because my man, David, those belts ain't doing nothing for you. They're really not. So now David is stuck in another situation where he ran into another wall. He's going to have to move up even further if he ever thinks about becoming world champion. Because the plan wasn't for Demetrius Bivol to win. It was for Arthur to win. Then David challenges Arthur. But out of the 2 fighters, shall Demetrius Bivol win? I don't think David the Monster Benavidez ever wanted that smoke. And I came up here, and you guys know me. You guys heard me. You must have thought I sound crazy, right? And then they announced that fake ass story about David the Monster Benavidez offering Bivol, and that they sanctioned it, and the and that was all fake. All fake, man. And I just like, I saw it. I saw it. I knew they didn't want to fight. I just knew it. It wasn't like talking like David the Monster Benavidez, his team was talking like they really wanted to smoke. Then by what they did, flew all the way out there, got on a plane for like 15 hours. They probably spent more time in the baggage claim that they did at the fight. Hopped right back on a plane, went back to America, really disrespected Turki Al-Sheikh and his invitation to talk. I invited you to enjoy the festivities in the fight. I paid for everything for you to fly all the way out there, look at the fight, hop back on a plane, and fly all the way back out. Like, why would you do that, David the Monster Benavidez? The reason why? PBC got on the phone with him and told him, "You're not allowed to talk to any of them. I want you to get the fuck out of there." He did what they told him. He should have checked in with them, and we could have talked about that on the. He spent approximately 30 hours, a complete day in the air, then rather to go out there and talk to Turkey out of sheet. It made no sense. And those kind of things led me to believe he really never wanted to fight. Because I would have stood there the whole time until I got an answer, right? You don't take that kind of flight. So, hey, what do I know, right? I always believe in Triple D. You crazy. You got robbed by Usyk. What? Whether or not you think that body shot was good, I think that the body shot was good, right? Against Dubois. I thought that was a legitimate knockdown. That the shorts that Usyk had on, yo, the lining in the short was like that fucking thick. Did you guys see it? That shit went up to his chest, right? So at some point, you ever see a boxing match where a referee says, "I'm considering this good," and he goes underneath the guy's shorts because you can't see his belly button. See, the guard is supposed to, when you put it on in your shorts, you're supposed to be able to see your belly button. Initially, guys have gotten away with it with long torsos and complain, I'm just bringing it up here because I gotta, and some referees will acknowledge that in the moment, and they'll point out, look, from here to here is good. From here to here is good. You guys got your shorts up to your chest, but I'm still counting this. That body shot with Dubois was on the money, if you ask me. And the rules state, right, that if it's a groin shot, you was to hit somebody in the groin, you got to make contact with the cup. It doesn't matter if it was up, as long as you push the cup back, you hit me in the balls, bro. Right? If you hit him in the side, but when I went back and looked at that body shot with Usyk, boy, was it nowhere near the cup. It was nowhere near it. That shit was up here, the punch. It wasn't even close to his cup. That was a legit knockdown. Wasn't awarded that way, wasn't counted that way. So my opinion is only my opinion. That's all I can go by. I think that Dubois got frustrated, gave up in the fight. And in that moment in Dubois' career, I gave up on him. I gave up on him. I didn't think that Dubois had that dog in him. I didn't think that he can ever come back from those two controversial losses, and him just giving up like that with his eye, the way he just kneeled down. It was a bad look. But boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. That man Dubois, he over exceeded my expectations of what I thought he was as a fighter. The way he knocked out the AJ, nobody's knocked out AJ like that. Nobody. And when he lost to Andy the Destroyer Ruiz, Andy the Destroyer Ruiz put him down a lot of times, but he ended the fight on his feet. The referee said no more because his equilibrium and his feet had checked out. AJ was probably okay from the waist up. He probably felt okay. And from the waist down, His legs were doing the salsa. He couldn't control it. He didn't know what the, it's a weird fucking feeling. I hear about it a lot in gyms. I've never experienced it. I don't want to. I don't fucking want to, right? I'll take their word for it, right? But I've seen guys get hit and they're okay up here and their legs are just, they can't. So I never seen anybody knock out AJ the way Dubois did. The way he fought him. The way he earned the right to be called heavyweight champion of the world. And also, in my opinion, the way he earned the right for a rematch at Alexander Usyk. I believe Dubois deserves. Now, I understand that the Parker fight, Dubois got sick. They're going to revisit that fight. You know, there's a part of me that, yeah, okay, I would like to see that fight, but maybe there's bigger fish to fry. You offer me that Parker fight or an Usyk fight, it's a no-brainer. At that point, it's a no-brainer. I'm going after Usyk. And unfortunately, Parker, I'll give you the shot. If I'm successful against Usyk, then I'll give you a shot at the belts. I will fight you. But sometimes shit happens in boxing and, you know, sometimes these fights don't get made. But in that situation, I'm just publicly coming out and saying I wouldn't be mad at Dubois if he didn't take the Parker fight and he automatically opted to fight like Usyk. I wouldn't say he was ducking Parker. No, I wouldn't say that. It's just more on the line, and I think that Dubois, in my opinion, in my book, he's earned the right to fight Usyk again. I don't care what anybody else says. I get it. Before you guys start texting in my chats, I haven't read any of the chats, but if you guys are going to text in my chat, right, that, you know, Dubois doesn't deserve a shot with Usyk or anything like that, you know, what's deserving in the sport then? When Dubois took out everybody that Usyk took out in better fashion. Let's just remember that Usyk went 12 rounds with Anthony Joshua, not once, twice, and Dubois knocked him out. Before anybody starts saying, nah, he's not deserving, you know, this, that, and a third, he already beat him. So what? So what? He beat him. All right, cool. He's made himself a different fighter. And I think what's right is right. Although the Parker, yeah, I understand. I know what guys are going to say. Yo, he should. Parker did train for him. And then, you know, and Billy, Martin Piccoli came in. I'm sorry, I was saying Billy. Martin Piccoli came in on last notice, and then Joseph Parker knocked him out. So, you know, it's up to interpretation, but I would definitely veer trying to fight for the world titles again. Absolutely. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. What's up, brother? You're crazy. You are correct, sir. That's the money. Sometimes it's all about, yeah. No, of course. I could keep it real. I could keep it 100 on my show because I'm not bound to nobody. And I'm not being paid by nobody to fucking spew fucking false content. I'm here keeping it 100. The referee fucked up. He fucked up. But did the referee fuck up in the Gervonta Tank Davis fight? How many times have we seen referees fuck up? How many times we seen judging mess up? I get it, but it doesn't take away the hard work from the fighter from getting back to the fight and being awarded the on the recognition that yes, they do deserve this fight again. And I'm on the line that Dubois deserves this fight. Hell yeah, he does. And I would like to see it again. How about that? I would like to see that fight again. I want to see Usyk beat him again. The new improves Dubois. Yeah, I want to see that shit. You're fucking right, I do. So, and these are some of the fights that we be talking about. Look, my headlines: Naoya Inoue, May 4th, coming in with Roman Cardenas, right? I'm gonna tell you right now. Let's just remember, how did Roman Cardenas get in this situation? The original guy that they asked for checked out of the fight. Alan David Picasso. He was the original number one for the WBC. Y'all seen the headlines and the articles that his team and his dad put out there? They were honest, a little too honest, but they were honest. And they said, there's no way I'm putting my son in the ring with that monster. That's what they said. In more words than one. And you can see when you start to get to this level in boxing, not everyone is so eager to take these kind of fights on. I got to give Ryan Garcia his credit, right? Because in a way, Ryan Garcia has been fighting all the top guys. The Devin Haney's, the Tank Davis. You can't say that about Ryan. And he doesn't have a world title. Ryan Garcia has no belt, and he's moving like this in boxing. Not that the organizations haven't tried to put their belt around that young man's waist. He's just such a fuck up that they can't seem to do it. He doesn't make weight with Devin Haney, so it disqualified him for his first world title shot. Now the WBA is making up an interim belt with him and Rolly. As you can see, the sport world likes figures like Ryan Garcia. He has a big social media following. There's a lot of eyes on the kid, and he brings that to the sport. So in many ways, Ryan Garcia is doing his part in the sport, which this is the sport he's in, and these are all the eyes he brings with it. Not every man in the sport of boxing can say that. That doesn't automatically award you Ryan Garcia's superior boxer status. I said none of that. As far as what Ryan Garcia comes to the ring looking like, your guess is as good as mine. Because although I'm on the line that Ryan Garcia is an amazing talent, I don't think his dedication to the sport is as high. You understand? So that's what I'm concerned about. I want to see what he looks against Rolly. I expect Rolly to be a better version of himself, and etc. But with Naoya Inoue, I don't expect any of that shit. Nah. Every time I see Naoya Inoue, I just expect to see a better version of himself, of what I've already been accustomed to seeing when I tune in to a Naoya Inoue fight. When I tune into a Naoya Inoue fight, I know I'm going to get action, satisfaction, and a knockout, a finish. It's very rare when Naoya Inoue is not knocking out his opponent. And if that was to happen, I gotta say that maybe it was a very, very competitive fight and a very interesting fight. Because if we already checked this out, if they would have awarded him that knockdown against Nonito Donaire in the Nonito Donaire fight 1, Naoya Inoue would be right now on a 19 fight straight knockout streak. His last 19 fighters he's come up against, he's knocked them all out. Coming into this fight against Roman, he would have 19 world consecutive knockouts to present date. Who's doing that? What fighter has 19 consecutive knockouts leading into their next fight? I'll wait. I'll be right here. Just name me one. Anybody. Anybody. You're not going to find him. He doesn't exist. Naoya Inoue is keeping this kind of record on a world-class level. You got to understand that. That Naoya Inoue is truly doing this at the top of the food chain. And now a lot of people and onlookers are going to, I'm going to be there in Las Vegas in attendance May 4th to watch this fight. I really think that Naoya Inoue is a very special fighter, and I await his announcement. Since the last two fights that he's had, I've been holding my breath here, kind of waiting, anticipating to see if he would announce that he would move up to 126, where that we know that all the challenges, all the fighters, all the champions' names will change. I feel, and like many, that at 122 pounds, Naoya Inoue has wiped down the division. There's really not much more that he can accomplish there. So the anticipation for him going up to 126, that's what a lot of us are truly waiting for. Some of us are on the line that we do want him to fight MJ, and that we do want him to silence all the criticism. I'm on the line. MJ was never a threat. Naoya Inoue was never ducking him, and MJ was never on his level. I never allowed that bullshit argument with Ed Hearn and MJ to, alter my perception of, wait a minute, is Naoya Inoue ducking him? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Nice try, guys, but I'm not going for that. You were never a threat. You don't present any threat. You just got a lot of mouth. That's it. That's all I ever felt MJ was worth, to tell you the truth. And I don't mean to diss or put down any boxer, right? Because I love all boxers, right? And I respect MJ as a fighter. I really do. I just don't respect him and his tactics of trying to disrespect the undisputed champion in that weight division when he has all 4 belts. How can you say that he's garbage, ducking you, avoiding you, when he has everything? You have nothing. You weren't even good enough to keep your own belt. I'm not buying it. So, with a lot of things that are going on in the sport of boxing, you're going to hear a lot of things, of course. Well, Mike Tyson said also, right? You guys want to see a fighter? Check out the monster, Naoya Inoue. He's truly a monster. Mike Tyson also said that. And just because Mike Tyson is being a little modest in his assessment, which means he's backing up and making sure that just in case Naoya Inoue was to fall, that he wouldn't be caught with his pants down talking about Naoya Inoue would never lose. Because even the greatest of champions loses, right? But we're not talking about the greatest. We're talking about the elite. And in the elite, it's a 1% category of the men and women that fought the best fighters, beat the most champions, climbed the most divisions, and was never defeated. Mayweather. So what Tyson is saying has truth, but doesn't mean it's always the truth. Naoya Inoue could retire just like Andrew Ward, just like Floyd Mayweather, undefeated. But Mike Tyson, he's being modest. He knows he was a great fighter. He lost. I don't think Mike Tyson lost in the ring, and I'll go to my grave saying this. I don't think that Mike Tyson lost in the ring because of his skills or that the guy was actually better than him. I think Mike Tyson lost in the ring because of the bad habits that he had outside of the ring. And once Cus D'Amato died, Tyson never really had that structure. What we saw from those fights on, I truly believe, whether he wants to admit it or not, was just a drug-induced Mike Tyson that lost his way. That's all. If Cus D'Amato never dies on Mike Tyson and was able to live out the majority of his career, I think Mike Tyson goes down as one of the best heavyweights we've ever seen. Mike Tyson's training, what Cus D'Amato put into Mike Tyson, all the love, all the knowledge that he put into Mike Tyson, it showed. Even when he died, all the fucking chaos that Mike Tyson did with all those cocaine nights, prostitutes, going to jail, all his training that Cus put into him carried him throughout his career. That was all that was left, was the remnants of the training that Cus D'Amato put in that young man, Mike Tyson. That carried him through the rest of his career. It really did. Just imagine if that man didn't die and Mike Tyson stayed disciplined. Cus talked about it before he died. If I put Mike Tyson in the right place with the right people, if he can avoid all the outside distractions, he'll go down as the best heavyweight to ever live. He knew it, just like I knew it. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. Tyson was well trained. And that little white dude loved Mike Tyson, bro. He believed in him. He saw what young Tyson did not see in himself. Cus D'Amato brought the best out of Mike Tyson, bro. Hats off to Cus, man. Good trainers, good men for young men and women when we need this in our lives. When we're coming up on these streets and the world got us thinking that we need a gun to validate who we are in the streets. We need to be a tough guy or get into a gang when we didn't realize we didn't have to embark in that lifestyle. It was what was being pumped into our ears by our music and what we saw outside. The gold chains, the 20-inch rims, the women. We didn't know that if we just got a 9-to-5 and stayed in school and got a career, it was going to overexceed that money in the moment. I didn't understand that. I thought the money in the now at that time was the best way to go. I didn't understand longevity. I didn't understand, the future. And I think that that's what a lot of young fighters like Mike Tyson and a lot of young fighters fell to the pitfalls of the world. Drug, sex, and rock and roll. It's always seemed to alter all my favorite fighters. Either they're putting them in jail, getting killed, or getting involved with drugs and alcohol that they never actually pan out to be the fighter I always thought they would be. That is the one reason why I love Naoya Inoue. He's much more than just a boxer. It's what he does outside of the ring. I don't see him crashing his car. I don't see him drinking, smacking his wife all over social media. No, he's fighting 4 times a year as an undisputed champion. He put all 4 belts up 3 times. 3 times. He doesn't care that he has all 4 belts. He treats them like if he had 1 belt. Because in his mind, this entire time, he's saying, I'm better than everybody else. He's so good that all of a sudden he's got everybody else saying that his competition level was trash. Because he's beating them in such an impressive fashion. And I say, and I'm always going to say this, all right, if you're saying Naoya Inoue is fighting tomato cans or his opposition is not on that level, every single time he left the weight division, why weren't the men able to mirror what he did? Why couldn't Nonito Donaire do what Naoya Inoue did? Why can't Junto Nakatoni do it? Why can't Bam Bam Rodriguez do it? Why can't any of these great fighters do it? Just a fraction. Junto's a 3-division world champion, but he hasn't mirrored Naoya Inoue as far as success. Junto Nakatoni's success is based off Naoya Inoue's spotlight. A lot of you guys probably would have never came across or stumbled upon fighters like Naoya Inoue or Bam Rodriguez had it not been for Naoya Inoue. He's not selfish. He's bringing a lot of guys with him. He's bringing light to a lower weight division that typically doesn't get a lot of light. I mean, in the 100 years of boxing, there has never been an undisputed world champion in the super bantamweight division in the history of boxing. Well, let me correct that. Not until Naoya Inoue showed up. Now we got one. That's right. Yeah, Usyk became undisputed at the heavyweight. I've seen multiple undisputed heavyweight champions in the world. Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, the list goes on. I've seen countless undisputed champions in the middleweight and the welterweight division, middleweight champion of the world, having all the belts. Yeah, I've seen that. I've never seen a super bantamweight champion. Those guys are lightning in the bottle down there. They're constantly knocking each other off. They're so fucking good, and the competition's so fierce down there that typically the likelihood of one guy having just 2 belts is a big achievement down in them bantamweight divisions, bro. If you got 3 belts down there, you're the shit. You're the shit. Now, how about if you got all 4 and maintained it? It seems like everybody else seems to be getting stripped. Usyk, now Saul Canelo Alvarez, and the organizations are showing that they're starting to lock down on these guys with these belts, right? Why is it that Naoya Inoue is able to maintain them? I mean, he's not doing a juggling act here, and it's no secret. He's every single time he only wants the next number 1 guy. That's all he wants. It's not his fault that Sam Goodman opted out. Not once, but twice. Shit, not twice, but 3 times, to tell you the truth. He opted out of that fight with Naoya Inoue 3 times. When he jumped in the ring and challenged him, he took a tune-up fight. He didn't fight Naoya Inoue right away. That's 1 time. And the 2 cut eyes, that's 3 times. That's how bad he altered Naoya Inoue's career with the bullshit that he was going to fight him. That was just a fucking lie, bro. So Naoya Inoue only wanted the top guys, and all of a sudden he's fighting TJ Doheny, Yi Young Kim, that were never in the equation. You got to remember, those guys are the guys that saved the show. They stepped in last minute to replace the guy that was too chicken shit that, and in fact, asked for the smoke. These guys called Naoya Inoue out. Sam Goodman got in the fucking ring with him. And for all that, that's what you did, Sam Goodman? That's how you represented Australia. Bro, I'm going to speak for all Australian fans. I'm embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed for you guys. I've seen some American dudes do that. I understand. But Japan, they just straight embarrassed Australia because of the representation of Sam Goodman. That's what's up, my man Chang. Thank you for the donation, the 10-piece. That's going to go straight to the Naoya Inoue Fund when we go out to Las Vegas. It's going to help me get around. Thank you for the love and support, because I will be in Las Vegas on May 4th when Naoya Inoue fights against Roman Cardenas, because I believe it might be one of the last, if only, chances I get to see Naoya Inoue in America. I think he rides out the rest of his career in Japan, as it is written. From what Bob Arum, Top Rank, released quite some times ago, but boxing is always subject to change. You guys know that, and I know that. Okay? Some of these fights are announced, but don't take place. Not my fault, not your fault. Right? Okay. So, what Top Rank initially said, they were going to fight Alan David Picasso in Las Vegas, Marlon Tapales in Japan, and Nick Ball in Riyadh season. That was the rumor. And as we all know, it's not always on Naoya Inoue's side to make these fights happen. Because what just happened in front of you guys' face? Alan David Picasso walked out of the room. He didn't. So, even if you announce Naoya Inoue's next 3 fights, shit, the first one didn't kick off. Would you think the second and third is too? Shit happens in boxing. Alan David Picasso said no. And his father said hell no. And his manager said fuck no. They didn't want their fighter fighting that monster. You crazy? He was going to take some years off that kid. And they knew it like I knew it. Go ahead and put Alan Picasso in the ring with him. Just like I'm saying, go ahead if you want to and put Nick Ball in the ring with Naoya Inoue. Go ahead. Go ahead. You might as well give Naoya Inoue that belt. Because I don't give Nick Ball no chance in that fight now. When I saw Nick Ball fight against TJ Doheny, I was like, check. Thank you, Nick Ball. Thank you. You wanted a measuring stick? You wanted to measure yourself against an opponent that fought Naoya Inoue? There you go. Nick Ball made you look stupid. And if Nick Ball was 10 years younger, he beats, if TJ Doheny was 10 years younger, he beats Nick Ball. 100. Yo, he had him missing. He made him look stupid, bro. And then I just want to divert your attention back to the Naoya Inoue TJ Doheny fight. TJ Doheny couldn't touch Naoya Inoue. And Naoya Inoue couldn't miss against TJ Doheny. Nick Ball couldn't hit TJ Doheny. And you mean to tell me, with those boxing abilities that Nick Ball showed, that speed, that power, that footwork, what the fuck was that? You're going to convince me he's going to catch up to Naoya? Yeah, all right. Anyone out there that thinks that, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not here to change your mind, sell you on a fighter. I'm just keeping it 100. I've been studying fighting all my life. I was a pretty decent fighter in my own right. I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't got cuts over my eyes and I still look pretty for a reason. And I'm not bragging. I'm 50 years old. I don't want any fights. Trust me. That's for them young boys. But in my time, pretty decent fighter. Studied a lot of fighting. I'm gonna tell you right now, Nick Ball is not Naoya Inoue's level. And neither is that sucker in the background talking shit, Leo. I'm waiting for his ass too. And his little boy that be supporting him online talking mad shit about Naoya Inoue, that's cool. Everybody can talk shit about a different fighter. That's all good. I'm just like on some shit where like, you know how like in Pokemon and shit, they be playing their cards and they be putting they fighter against the other. I choose you, Naoya Inoue. Go! I'm gonna throw him out there every time. Yo, I'm not scared. I'm not scared for him. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter for me with Naoya Inoue. I think he represents something in boxing we need. We need in this sport. I really want our guys to take a page out of Naoya Inoue's preparation, though his approach, his lifestyle in and out of the ring. I think that's so important. And when it's all said and done with for fighters like Naoya Inoue, when he finally goes to the Hall of Fame, you guys might be saying what you want about him right now. You could either like him or dislike him. That's not up to me. That's up to you, right? But when it's all said and done and he goes to the Hall of Fame, one thing about boxing, in order to achieve what Naoya Inoue did, you would have to follow in his footsteps. There's no way around it. This is not like you can get 4 interim belts and say, I'm Naoya Inoue now with 4 interim belts, right? The boxing world is not going to accept that. They're not going to accept it. You can't be David the Monster Benavidez and say that you're better than Demetrius Bivol. Brother, you got 2 interim belts and they're asking you to vacate one because, like I said, it was at the 168, that WBC world champion you got. You beat David Morale for the WBA interim at 175. Come on, brother. Rub them shits together. They're still not going to make a real belt when we're talking about real shit. You know what I'm saying? You got me a little confused right now. I'm not sure what you really mean by this. Wait, you need help getting their shit. I'm in Petersburg. Yo, I would love to see that crazy. Oh, damn. He got paid, sir. Damn, that's fucking crazy, sir. All right. So I know I was talking fast, so it's like sometimes I got to catch up with you and your comments, and you were answering as you heard me. Kind of forget sometimes where I was at in the conversation. So I'm not really sure what parts you mean. But in any regards, no matter how you view a fighter, I want you to know this. That boxing is a sport that I believe that should live on through the test of time. It is something that we truly need. It is something that I knew at an early age I had to fight. I had to. Um there was a part of me that I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I was broken. I got to admit there was a point in time that I was scared to fight because I thought I was alone thinking these thoughts of punching people in the face repeatedly. I thought that no one ever shared anything with like that with me when I was a kid. I didn't know that I had a warrior spirit inside, and that I wish that more people in the boxing world would have took, notice of me rather than the guys on the street corners that wanted me to collect a couple of their dollars by knocking people out. My life took a big turn because I didn't know these things. I thought that the boxers that were real champions, that they were like superhumans in a way. I never thought that I can actually make that. I didn't have those kind of like role models, and if I did, they weren't speaking my language. There were probably a lot of people around me encouraging me. I just didn't hear them. They weren't like me. And for a long time, I thought there was something wrong with me until I realized there was a lot of men, if not thousands of hundreds of thousands of men and women that think exactly like me. We need this sport. Just like you need basketball, football, baseball, we need boxing. If we didn't have boxing, and I just want to announce this to the world that it was just announced, I believe, yesterday or today, that the Olympics have accepted amateur boxing back into the Olympics. Congratulations for the Olympics for waking the fuck up. Trying to take boxing away from our men and women. Are you crazy? I'm so glad they're bringing boxing back to the Olympics. I was a little nervous there for a while. I really was. And I we I realized that boxing is something that some of us in this world need. There are some men and women that don't understand it. How can you guys go in there and punch each other's face in? And there's some men and women that understand it. I don't want no 6'3" kid, 5'10", muscle bound kid hanging on my corner with nothing to do, and all he wants to do is fight, and you guys cut boxing out. What do you think he's gonna do in the neighborhood if we don't have outlets like this? If we didn't, you know what I'm saying? And I can tell you firsthand, even with everything in place, I still was led astray. So I understand how important the sport is. Combat for us is important. I love competition. I love competing. I like to watch a man train, fight, and I like to look at that man and say, I can beat you. I love that shit, bro. I like the fact that he looks better than me. He fights better than me. And I want to be the one to beat him and prove that I can beat him. So, fight fan, you know, I love fighting. I love boxing. I love competition. And I love all the competition throughout the world. It will never, and I repeat, never matter your skin color, ethnicity, or race on this channel. If you're a fighter, and I don't care where you come from in the world, if you're doing your thing, I'm going to make sure you get your flowers. Here at Round One Sports Talk, we don't look at all that bullshit. Black, white, brown, Chinese. We don't care about none of that shit. What we care about are the best fighters in the world, and where do you come from, and what do you look like, how you did against your competition, and what you accomplished. And that's all we're kicking off here at Round One Sports Talk. Bam, I see you in the building. Thank you for tuning in. I'm logging off right now. Um, you guys have been amazing. Always love coming up here, chopping it up with you guys. You guys really make my day. But I need more questions. I need more feedback from you guys. And I need you guys to come up here and talk boxing with me and let me know, because when you'll get the best out of me when you're asking the better questions and coming up here and talking things out like men. And don't ever think that if you're new to my channel that if you want to come up that it has to be always a debate, me versus you. No, you can give your opinion, and I want you to know that I validate everyone's opinion, and I'm not always trying to knock you down, but show one side of it, show your side. We can talk, we can debate, however you want to do it. You want to come up here talking right, we can do it. You want to come up here debating, we can get down like that too. Doesn't matter. I'm prepared for it all. But the one thing that I will advocate for is for these men and women in boxing that are doing it today. It's not my job to convince you that Devin Haney is deserving and is good for the sport. I want you to see it for yourself. And I want to invite you to watch these fights with me and watch these fights unfold. Before we start dissing these fighters and putting them down in the sport we deem to be mano a mano, let's talk these fighters up so when they get these victories, they're worth the victory. Listen, fight fans, love you guys, always chopping it up. Wifey's calling me. I got to go squeeze her butt. I'm on to the next one. Love yourselves. Don't forget to give these videos a like. At least do me that favor. Share the videos if you haven't